Have you ever wondered why people just like are successful and things just happen for them and things just click for them all the time? The reason why most folks are successful over other folks in any area of their life is because they choose their pain. And choosing your pain is the most important decision that you can make in your life. Now, when we talk about choosing your pain, what does that mean? Choosing your pain means literally you're either going to do something that is hard to make your life easier, or you're going to do the easy thing, but in the long run, it's going to make your life harder. Now, choosing your pain, meaning, am I going to have this pain right now, like immediately, and then the hopes is that I can benefit off of it later on, or am I just going to just not, just kind of be lackadaisical and be lazy, but like over time, the pain will come. Now, I want to really speak about this just from a mental health standpoint, because I feel as if there's an issue just in general in this day and age where we have this, we have this mantra that we have in our society that says, okay, just be chill, just be okay, do what you want to do, and feel what you want to feel, which is all good mantras, but how beneficial are a lot of those things just in the long run, right? So choosing your pain when it comes down to your mental health, I want to break this down from either you doing the work to improve your mental health, or not doing the work and your mental health is going to deteriorate over time. Now, thinking about this, it in the context of mental health, we have to do a lot better in addressing our issues, because right now, it's easier. It's way easier to avoid your problems. It's way easier to avoid your issues. It's way easier not to address your demons. That's easy. That's easy. You may still have them, but it's way easier to just avoid them and not deal with them at all. A lot of this can come from like stigma around mental health. Like, it's easier just for me not to break these generational curses. It's easier for me just to not be able to be in a position where I'm trying to better myself because, everybody else, that came before me, they did okay, quote unquote, but it could have been growing up in trauma and things of that nature. But people probably owned a house. They did what they needed to do in order to take care of themselves. But, is it worth going through all that? Like, especially talking about breaking generational curses and, the generational trauma, things of that nature. And that weight's really on you to break it for the people that come after you, right? It's easy to avoid that responsibility. It is easy to very much so not be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is painful. It's easy not to be vulnerable. It may not, in the long, in the short run, it may not be beneficial, but it is easier to not be vulnerable. Also, too, therapy is a commitment. Mental health is a commitment for time. It's easier to put your time elsewhere. It's easier not to schedule that time for yourself. It's easier to not take care of yourself on the front end, right? So, understanding that there are things that may keep you from going to get help, or choosing your pain when it comes to mental health, because if you're choosing not to deal with it, if you're choosing, again, I'm emphasizing choice. I'm emphasizing choice right now because that is powerful. Because a lot of us say like, oh, we don't have no choice. We just did what we got to do. We didn't have a choice. You're always going to have a choice. You may not like the options, but you have a choice. You may, be slim to none, and some things may be a no-brainer, but you have a choice. For you to say you have a choice is showing that you have some form of power. some form of control over what happens. May not what happens, but what because what happens you may not know what may or may not recur, but you have choice in what you do. You have choice, and you can limit the risk by making conscious decisions and better choices. Now, we know what the easy part is. So what's the painful part? What's the painful part in with dealing with our anxieties or our mental health, our depression on the front end, right? I don't really like to sugarcoat. I don't really like to give you this idea that you're in therapy and you're gonna leave floating and you're gonna feel better and you're gonna a lot of times you can leave therapy or you can be dealing with your mental health and afterwards feel worse than you did before you came in. Strong possibility that can happen. Very strong possibility that can happen. But therapy isn't supposed to be easy. Think about it. Why do a lot of folks not go to therapy? If therapy was fun, easy, and like an amusement park, people would be buying tickets all the time and have season tickets to therapy. But that's not how therapy is. Therapy is work. Therapy, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes effort. It takes you wanting to do the work as well too. Therapy is a process. It's not the answer. A lot of folks, I deal with a lot of times people come in and like, hey, what are you doing in addition to therapy? I'm just going to therapy and just waiting to talk to you. It's like, cool. I admire that. I'm not gonna, it's cool. Like I appreciate you depending on me so much, but that's not realistic. It's not realistic for you to just go to therapy. You have to do the work. On average, therapy is about 60 minutes or so, once, maybe twice a week, maybe every other week. But you have so much time in between those sessions to do more work. That's why therapy can be painful on the front end. Even just before you go to therapy, just before, you may feel anxious, you may feel exhausted, you may feel, uncomfortable, especially men, talking to essentially a stranger. But this is where it's not going to stay painful. The therapy doesn't stay painful all the time. You may have those moments, but what is growth without being discomfort? What is growth without being uncomfortable? Discomfort is going to come with this pain. Therapy can be painful. It can be. I'm not here to say it's not, bliss and all these things. And I'm not also saying sometimes you may leave session and be feeling A1. But that's not always the case. It's better for you to anticipate and prepare yourself for things that may happen or things that may come up in therapy, because you may go to therapy for one thing, but what happens when you go for one thing? A lot of the things come up. Demons, traumas. There's modalities, which means modality is simply just a way of doing therapy or how your therapist may conduct therapy or their style. There may be modalities in where you may unlock things that you bury deep in your subconscious. That's right. So, choosing your pain when it comes to mental health. Are you going to put in the work that is going to take in order for you to break away from feeling the pain down the line? And now this is, I want to kind of break down the different pains as well too, because when we talk about pain down the line, it's like, okay, would I rather deal with these demons, deal with these traumas, deal with these things up front? Or am I going to keep burying that? And now the pain isn't just like your pain, but now you've transferred that pain to your offspring. Now you've transferred that pain to other people. Now you've transferred that pain and that hurt, and now this is energy that you built up, because energy, really isn't destroyed. It's more used as a transferable, a transferable source. So the energy that you have with your trauma, you're going to just put it to somebody else, and you also still have it. So we talk about the pain of what, choosing your pain. Are you choosing to hold on to that pain, and now you've allowed somebody else to inherit it? When somebody else is inherited, now they got to deal with it. Choosing your pain where I'm going to deal with this thing so I can minimize the risk of me putting myself in positions where I am now transferring that pain to somebody else. You have to choose your pain when you are in these moments of making decisions, choosing to do or not do. You don't always have to be motivated to do so, because motivation does not outweigh discipline. It's doing the things that you want to, doing the things you need to do instead of the things that you want to do in the moments that you don't want to do it. So, being sure that when you are in positions, if you can make the conscious decision, be mindful about the pain that you're choosing. Be mindful about, are you offsetting this, you're putting an investment on pain where, if you think about you guys know finance, you think about compound interest. Compound interest is what they say, one of the many wonders of the world, where you have a pool of money and, you allow that the interest or the dividends to reinvest itself. So now the money is working for itself. So now eventually you cash out on that benefit. Same thing with your emotional and your mental health. If you don't deal with it, or you're not emptying that bank, it's just going to compound interest. And now compounding interest on your emotions is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And finance, amazing, wonderful, love it. But when it comes to human behavior and the negative senses of choosing our pain, it doesn't work like that. Let's learn to deal with things just so we don't have to deal with the pain later, nor do we have to offset and put off that energy on anybody else, especially loved ones. Let me know what your thoughts about choosing therapy, choosing your pain in the comments. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Thank you so much. If you guys watched this whole video, make sure you guys share this as well too, if you found it beneficial to you. All right, y'all take care and take care of each other.